who's ready to start science? This girl is. Before we start science, we need to learn some vocabulary words so that we understand what we are doing and what the purpose is. So our first vocabulary word is the word criteria. So when I'm talking about the criteria of an experiment, I'm talking about the specific things, the specific features that the result will have to have. So if I'm saying that I want, let me show you. Okay, so anytime you have a problem you're trying to solve in an experiment, you got to figure out how am I going to know that it's fixed. So the problem on this screen says the tire is flat and I can't ride my bike. That is a problem, and it might have even happened to you. So how will you know when it's fixed? Well, that's the criteria. It says the tire is full of air and I can ride the bike. It'll be fixed when that's the case. And then also there's another criteria that the leak itself is fixed. So when those two things happen, when you fulfill those two criteria, when you check those two things off your list, your problem should be solved at that point. So let's practice some more criteria. So here is a problem that some little kids are having. It says that sometimes the recycling bins are too heavy for us to carry. And that used to happen at Haley, not so much with recycling bins, but library books. If you were in charge of taking the library book bin back to the library, it would be too heavy for kids to carry. So what are two things that we know we'll need to check off our list to be able to get to that solution? So I would say one of the criteria is that the kids have to be able to carry down the bins. So we're going to have to fix something so that that's a possibility. Okay, so I added that in. Students can carry the bins. What other thing will have to be accomplished to be able to be checked off the list so that they can get the items to the recycling bins? Well, students have to be able to carry the bins. What else? I would say we'll know we're successful when the recycling gets emptied. So those are the two big things that we need to accomplish. We need to make sure that the students can carry bins, so they need to be less heavy. So we could write that that didn't work. Sorry, trying to write on my screen, it's not cooperating. So students can carry the bins and the bins are less heavy. All right, so those could be two criteria that we would have to check off the list. So when we're done with it, okay, can the students carry the bins? And if they can, then check, check. And are they less heavy? Yes, check, okay. Next one. Okay, so let's think of criteria to get a good grade in math with Mrs. Youngke. So if you want to get an A plus or an A or a B even in math, there's certain criteria that you need to meet that you have to be able to check off your list. One is you have to do your math assignments. That would be a criteria to get a good grade, do your assignments. Another criteria would be to come to the math Zooms so you know what we're doing. So doing your math Zooms and doing your math assignments are the criteria you need to get a good grade. So let's look at another criteria. Problem is that the book bag is too heavy, a heavy overpacked backpack. So my backpack is too small to carry all I need for class. So if your book bag needs to carry more or it's too heavy and it's like overflowing, what are some things that we need to check off? So criteria that we need to check off a list so that you can successfully carry your things in your book bag. So, and there's more than one thing that we could put. One thing could be that to be able to successfully carry everything, maybe you need to clean out, take out things you don't need. Because sometimes kids have a bunch of stuff in their book bag that they don't actually need to have in their book bag, like toys and stuff. So one criteria to meet our solution of not having a heavy overpacked book bag would be that we've got to take out the things that we don't need. What else? What else would we need to do to be able to solve this successfully? Can you think of anything? I mean, one criteria is it may be necessary to get a new book bag. Another criteria, if it's that heavy and overpacked, might be to not just clean and take things out, but to organize the things that you do have in there. So we could put organize, or another option, like I said, would be get a bigger book bag. And those are two criteria that if we met those and we could check them off our list, that we should have our solution to having a more organized backpack that's not overflowing. Okay, so that's criteria. Here's our other vocabulary word. It's the word constraints. So constraints are different. This is what kind of gets in the way of you solving your problem. Some constraints will be time, space, money, and other supplies. So for example, let's look at this picture of this spaceman. An astronaut in outer space has a lot of constraints. Time might not be a problem because they usually have a lot of time up in space, but supplies will be a problem. If they have a problem that they want to try to solve, but they don't have the right materials for the thing they came up with, that's a problem. So like if they would like to make a nice warm meal, but they don't have ingredients, they can't just, like it says here, astronauts can't just go buy groceries. So they have to use whatever they already have on the spaceship. So let's go back to this problem we had with the kids in the recycling bin. So if we said that a good solution would be to get more bins, so they had more bins to put the recycling in and they didn't have to carry as much stuff, what might be a constraint for that? What might get in the way? Money or supplies. So if I don't have the money to go buy bins and I don't already have extra bins, then that one's not going to work. What else could be a constraint for this situation? Can you think of something else? If we're trying to fix these and we just say, oh, well, let's just let the teacher take them down. That could be a time constraint. The teacher might not have time, like during dismissal, they can't just leave the classroom, but students could. So that might be another constraint is the teachers might not have as much time to leave the classroom or they might not be able to. Let's do another one. Okay, so if you look at this picture, you can see that this classroom, they have some plants in their classroom. And it says a 2-week holiday break is coming up, so it must be at Christmas break. School will be closed when the break begins. No one can water the plants, so students are worried. They want to design a way to water the plants with materials that they have. So if we were going to try to come up with a solution for this, we would have to keep time, space, money, supplies in mind. We can't just say, well, Mrs. Yonke will come in every day over her break. Well, no, because that's time. I don't have the time to drive to Haley School and come in every day to do it. Okay, well, let's just go buy like an irrigation system that automatically has a timer on it and just waters it. What kind of money do you have to spend on this? I don't have that kind of money. So we'll have to think of a way to make this work that we don't have these limitations on us that constrain us that make it hard to solve it or impossible to solve it. Okay, so we are going to be doing a project with building a launcher. We're going to do that tomorrow. So tomorrow, when we meet for science, I'm going to explain the project to you. We're going to talk about the constraints and the criteria, and then you guys will have a building day. So it'll be really fun. All right, see you tomorrow.